A week ago, we warned you here on this channel that Bitcoin could be pulling back down to $112,000 and that altcoins could have a little bit of a spill coming before the next rally. Well, over the weekend, all of those things ended up happening. But now the question is the bottom in, or are we going to tumble a whole lot further? The biggest thing I want you to take away from this video is that there is a major mistake that I see a lot of people on the internet making when it comes to cryptocurrency investing. And you want to avoid this mistake if you're looking to maximize your profit taking in this cycle. But make sure to watch all the way till the end of the video, because I'm going to lay out the groundwork of what it looks like to prepare yourself for the chaos that's coming in the next couple of months. Make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Right now, there's a lot of confusion about what's going to happen next in these markets. While Bitcoin is bouncing at the time of making this video, we did pull right back to that $112,000 Bitcoin price that we talked about last week due to the daily sell signal from Luxalgo and the smart trail being in this area. The question though in everyone's mind is what's going to happen on the weekly chart, where we have just printed bearish divergence and a sell signal on Luxalgo as well, with red reversals, bearish momentum, and negative money flow for the first time since back here in January of 2025. As most of you know, if you go back to January, we pulled back down to the weekly smart trail, dropping from $108,000 all the way down to $74,400. In the month of August, the chaos begins to unfold with different influencers saying different things. For example, Robert Kiyosaki, the writer of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, an economist that a lot of people look up to, he is talking about a potential pullback with an August curse, saying that Bitcoin could fall back down below $90,000 and he would look forward to it. He attributes this kind of a crash to the debt that continues to pile on to the American people. However, Benjamin Cowan paints a little bit of a different picture for August when it comes to Bitcoin. He points out on this graph that if you go back to the year after the halving event, the last 3 times, historically, both months, July and August, have been bullish, followed by a September pullback. He speculates in his post that potentially if August is able to boom and have some sort of a rally, that would mean a pullback would be coming in September along with the 4-year cycle. On the charts, you have some things saying that we're about to rally and other things saying we're about to fall. If you're following people on X, you have some people convinced that August is going to be a major pullback, while others are saying historically this August should be a massive bull run. This leads me right into the biggest problem that I think a lot of people are going to have when trying to understand what to do next with the markets. Ultimately, I don't know which way August will actually go. Like I said, there are arguments for both sides. But one mistake that I see a lot of people making that I want to make sure people are at least thinking about changing their opinions on is continue to follow this idea of the 4-year cycle. Now, I've talked about this argument several times here on this channel, and if you want a quick recap, ultimately it goes like this. Retail investors are acting like this 4-year cycle has been around for hundreds of years and is a sure thing in the world of buying and selling crypto. The reality is that's just not the truth. The 4-year cycle has actually only worked out successfully 2 times, marking the distance between the tops of the bull markets in 2013 and 2017, and then once again between 2017 and 2021. People are using this theory to project when the top of the bull market will be in 2025, but that's just a faulty logical argument. As I've said several times, just because something happens once doesn't mean anything. It just so happened to happen. A second time, it's merely a coincidence, but potentially you're starting to see a possibility. It's only after the 3rd or 4th time something happens that you can actually call it a pattern and be reliable. Unfortunately, like I said, the 4-year cycle's only ever played out twice. And if you dive deeper into this cycle, not a single aspect of the 4-year cycle has been intact over the last 4 years. For example, never in the 4-year cycle history has Bitcoin put a new all-time high in before the Bitcoin halving, which happened in April of 2024. Altcoin season, according to the 4-year cycle, should have started back in November or December of 2024. And even though there was a little bit of a fake out, this ultimately would not be the top of the Bitcoin dominance, and altcoin season still to this day has not been confirmed. We also, under 4-year cycles, have always had an extremely explosive period of the market. And while I would say that Bitcoin has still had some big gains, nowhere during this recent bull market has touched anywhere near as explosive as bull markets in the past, such as back in 2020 and 2021. According to the 4-year cycle, the top should be sometime in late September or early October of 2025. And if that was the case, this would be the most bullish part of the cycle as all of the money rotates away from the whales and into retail investors so that whales can take profit and prepare for a long bear market. But of course, that's not happening. We don't have massive euphoria. We don't see massive God candles on any of the cryptocurrency charts, and most altcoins are not even anywhere close to hitting new all-time highs. What does this mean? It means, everybody, that the 4-year cycle is dead and gone. In fact, I'll make the argument that the 4-year cycle really was never a thing. It was simply a hunch based off of two events that retail investors wanted to use to make some sort of argument for easy buying and easy selling. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the trap right there. A tale as old as time is that institutional investors will always find a way to confuse retail. They will make them think it's time to go up when it's really time to sell off, and they'll make them think it's time to sell off when it's about to bottom out and have a massive bull run. Institutions have never been in the crypto markets like they have in this cycle. And if I was an institutional market trying to manipulate this space, I would want retail investors to continue to believe in this 4-year cycle theory so that I can buy at the dip right at the right time and make money while all the retail investors are left behind. So what is my ultimate advice to you? My advice is do not try to follow 4-year cycle theories when it comes to buying and selling. Instead, stick to the charts and stick to the news. Make sure you understand how manipulation is played out throughout the charts and the news, and also make sure you know what the long-term economic outlook looks like before making any big investment decisions. Now, when it comes to looking at the future of what the economics will look like here in the United States and worldwide, recently President Trump did say that the US will boom in the next 5 to 6 months. Of course, at the same time, though, we just got back some job numbers that, while Trump is going to try to argue they aren't realistic, make it look like the United States is not doing so well when it comes to unemployment as maybe some believed. And this is a very confusing piece of data that we have to wrestle with as Americans. In one sense, it's actually very bullish that these numbers came way down, because this is going to put a lot of pressure on the Fed to once again cut rates for the first time since last August. Updated CME predictions are now saying there's an 85.7% chance that the Fed will cut rates in September. While Trump has been calling for rate cuts, begging the Fed to go ahead and start cutting them, he's not a fan of the recent job numbers because he believes they were rigged to make him look bad. No matter what you believe about whether or not the numbers are rigged or fake or whatever, a rate cut will be good for markets. It's also not a good look that he just fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics just because he didn't like the numbers. This is going to cause a lot of concern and fear over the next couple of months to make people think, can you actually trust any of the numbers being reported? I have to admit, this is absolutely something that's playing into my future idea of how the markets are going to look. And while I'm still extremely bullish on cryptocurrency, it is something that's going to make me question every piece of data that ever comes out. And I'll be looking at those charts with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that I don't miss the top in the future. Speaking of local tops, there is a chance that one is in right now on the Bitcoin markets. Like I said earlier in the video, even though we're bouncing back up today, a very scary thing has popped up on the weekly chart here on Bitcoin that should not be ignored. And that would be a bearish divergence where we have put in a lower high in oscillators while also putting in a higher high in price action. Luxalgo is also giving us a bearish sell signal right now with red reversal, bearish momentum, and negative money flow. Historically, this has been an amazing sell signal that you can go back and look at tops like January of 2025. You can go back to March of 2024. In fact, go ahead and scroll back if you have Luxalgo through the history of Bitcoin's chart. And every single time you see this red line pile up, a pullback of some kind ends up happening on Bitcoin. More often than not, that pullback ends up finding support around what's called the smart trail, this blue zone right here on the charts. While this will continue to climb over the next couple of weeks, I would not be surprised at all to see Bitcoin pull all the way back down towards $100,000 as the weekly sell signal is back in play. Now, to be clear, there is no guarantee that this pullback comes all the way back down to the smart trail. You can find certain times in history where a weekly sell signal did not result in a smart trail touch, such as back here in February of 2021, as well as August of 2020. Coincidentally, both these times the weekly sell signal failed, we were in the beginning and late stages of a roaring bull market. One could argue that if things go right here over the next couple of weeks, that could play out here again in August and September of 2025. But at the end of the day, you've got to make the right decision with your investment, and you do not want to ignore even recent history. Recent history suggests that the two local tops we've had in this bull market both came after bearish divergence and weekly sell signals, and both of them resulted in a pullback down to the weekly smart trail. Now, the brave out there will use this information to short the markets and look for a massive sell-off on Bitcoin. Most of you don't need to worry about shorting the markets. If you want to learn how to trade, I absolutely highly recommend you check out our VIP trading group where we teach people how to read the technicals and how to handle their risk management on the daily basis. But for the vast majority of you, what I'm telling you to do right now is look for major buy signals before going back into the markets. Either waiting for the weekly smart trail or even buy signals to come in on other time frames such as the daily chart. While we do have a green reversal dot in play on that chart, you can see the money flow is still flowing negative and no reversal has come in. For that reason, that's what makes me believe that there's a possibility right now that while Bitcoin is rallying on the day, we simply were making a move back up towards the 4-hour smart trail and more than likely will have a rejection and a pull back down to the downside. Does this mean that the bull market is over? Absolutely not. In the next couple of weeks, I will be posting a video about what the top of the bull market will look like. So you want to make sure you're sticking around on the channel and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that content. But for now, pullbacks are a part of healthy bull markets. And the signs out there, when it comes to the charts, they're calling for a pullback. When it comes to the news, they're making everything very muddy and gray and hard to read. So for those reasons, it's not quite time to buy back in. It's time to wait for something to come back to the downside. Now, some of you might also be asking, Tim, what about the recent buys we've made here on the channel? Well, that's a part of the trading and investing journey. Not every single call that I make or anyone makes is going to be right. And all you can do is invest with the information you have at the time. My plan is to hold all of those coins that I'm currently investing in and look to buy more on the next dip. However, if you are overinvested, this is a time that I would recommend taking some light profits to create some dry powder for a better situation. But my biggest advice to you is just don't find yourself in a situation where you're constantly second guessing every decision you make. You're going to make mistakes and you're going to make some good calls. Make sure to stick to your decisions and invest for the long haul, knowing that mistakes will come all along the way. But the more you buy and hold long term, these crypto markets are going to be a lot higher in the next couple of years than what they currently are. Now, if you're one of the braver ones and you're looking to make some money trading these markets, whether we're pulling back and you want to short, or whether we're rallying and you want to make some extra cash longing those bullish trends, make sure to check out BloFin Exchange right now. In fact, when you join right now, there's actually an internal trading competition happening within our community where you can win money by trading on the BloFin Exchange. Check out the link down below and read the details for all the rules that apply to this trading competition. Now, to close it out, I want to make sure I'm very clear with what my plan is in this season of chaos. I'm not convinced that the bottom is in just yet. And even though I've been bullish for a long time and will maintain to be bullish, I've learned my lesson even in the recent years about ignoring bearish divergences on the weekly chart. I'm not going to do it anymore. What I will look to do is look for some scalp shorts on the way down, but I'll also have some major buy signals with dry powder because this bull market is far, far, far from over. I'm going to continue to watch the charts every single day. I'm going to continue to read the news and apply the information to my investing journey. If you want to follow that journey, make sure to subscribe to this channel and like all of the content so that you can stay up to date with all of our moves. With that said, I'll see you in the next video. Adios.